Hi, everyone. It's me, Chris Phillips, your
Oh, that's what you
host
are.
with the Shower Door Professionals group, streaming live. Oh, yeah. Wednesday afternoon, evening, depending on where you're located. For me, it's about 5:30 afternoon. It's good. Works good for me. Some of you guys, it's like, it's into the evening.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it that you make time to schedule this, man. It's really pretty cool. It kind of blows my mind how faithful, you guys are to show up for this. So, because it would be super boring if it was just me, just blathering on about something. Anyway, if you are in the Facebook group and you're watching us live there, you can do that. That's cool. You can just hang out there and do that if you want. There's a little chat feature there if you want to say something. Otherwise, you can just click on the link, come in here into the Zoom call, and put your face up here with all of our handsome faces. Ask questions, talk about stuff, argue. Who knows? I've never really had an argument. Maybe this will be the night. I doubt it. These guys are pretty friendly. Anyway, thanks for showing up and all that. Yeah, Christina is not here this evening. She has, a life outside of this. Sometimes she has to do other stuff, but so I don't really have a report for you from her at least. But you may have received a letter from the co-op telling you that you've been pre-approved. We're just getting down to those last little details. Crossing the T's and dotting the I's and making sure everything is like completely in place. And then everything's going to kind of go to the next level. And it's awesome. We are poised. We are poised to attack the market. As a group, we're going to bum rush the market. It's a whole bunch of shower door people just hitting them at once when they least expect it. It's going to be great. We're having a lot of fun, and really want to just invite you to think about coming along on this journey. Nationwide Shower Door Pros Cooperative. Yeah, learning more about that. Before we started the call, I was just kind of tinkering around here. We started chatting a little bit about, the upcoming price increase, which is coming directly for most of us, like next week, right? For us, it looks like about a 10% increase on glass and glass related fabrication stuff. So gosh, we just had a big increase. How long ago was that? Has it been more than a year?
The 40%?
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
About 2 years.
July.
Yeah, it was like mid-March 2 years ago.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So I guess we're due for one, huh? Apparently.
you'd think the 40% would cover you for several years.
Right. Because it had been a few years, since we had a major increase like that. I mean, there's been like energy surcharge things. That's kind of a local thing.
Yeah.
That come and go. But man, just a whole industry-wide increase like that. And there was very little warning.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, boom.
Yeah, like a week.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah,
You just have to go up.
Yeah, how do you guys deal with that? Just raise your prices?
Just
raise
raise
your
them up.
prices.
Yep.
You know what? I do agree with you guys. I raise my prices, but I don't know if some of the other guys and gals on here, I have these contracts with these production home builders where, they'll you bid on jobs to do mirrors, shower doors, shelving, doorknobs, things like that. And those are long-term contracts. And I'm telling you, that's a tricky game to play when you get these price increases, because once you sign that contract, these home builders are like, well, yeah, it's not our problem. They're not going to recognize a 10% increase. I don't know how you all dealt with that,
Mm.
if any of you do that type of work.
Mm.
We do that, but we don't sign any contracts with any production stuff. We stay away from the production stuff and stick to semi-production, where we're kind of just pricing it per job. And
Yeah.
the builders are mostly local builders that are building 25 to 50 homes a year, maybe.
Yeah.
No national builders that we have to sign. If we have to sign contracts with them, it's not our game. So
Yeah.
we don't have to worry too much about getting locked into a price on stuff like that. But the shelving stuff, we were actually able to get some materials cheaper on shelving by sourcing it from a different source, but it's the same shelving. We had to, it was kind of weird. We saving like 20% by not going through our typical sales rep. And it shouldn't be the case. Instead of we were going directly to the source, and then it was cheaper by like 20% to go to a third party. We're like, what's going on with this? So right now, saving
Wow.
shelving.
Did you give your regular rep a chance to come down on their price, or just kind of
Still a conversation to be had.
yeah. Have any of you other people here ever had that situation where you went to somebody else who is buying from your supplier and got a price lower than you were getting straight from the supplier? I've had that experience.
Yeah.
So somebody else in the industry was apparently purchasing their glass from the people I was getting my glass from at so low a price they could sell it to me for less than my supplier was selling it for. That same situation that like Daniel's describing right now is crazy.
But yeah, we just tell them to go for it. Yeah, I priced out a shower door once and it came back with what somebody else did, and I go, well, let them do it, the glass was ridiculous what the guy was gonna do it for.
Regarding pricing and stuff like that, one more aspect of what Michael probably does, we do door hardware. So we like to deal with one of our vendors here, Delaney, because they will stick to a price program where other sources can't list it lower than a certain list price, which helps us be competitive because you can't just go source it cheaper from a third party. And we have a hard time selling other brands. I don't know if I'm allowed to, but I mean, like Schley and Baldwin and all those, you can find those a whole lot cheaper than we can buy them for. So we don't even sell it because we can't get a good deal on it. Like nobody will buy it from us because they can just go online and buy it for cheaper than what we're marketing it up for. So
Yeah.
it's it's not a part of our offering. We can get it, but you're going to pay more is what we tell them. And then some of them will still do it because they don't want to deal with it. But I mean, if it's sourced elsewhere for cheaper, we just don't sell it. Essentially, we try not to. We don't push it. That's for sure.
If they're willing to pay you kind of a service charge for handling it.
If they're willing to pay our standard markup, what we work off of our margin, we get a wholesale price, but it's still not enough after we mark it up to beat some of these other people that don't have to abide by a pricing program, from them. I can't remember what they call it, but MTech and Delaney, they abide by like a certain, can't remember what they call it, but it's just like a thing that they abide by, like having a list price no lower than a certain amount or something like that.
Isn't that like they call it like price fixing or something?
I don't know. There's a word for it, but I can't think of it.
I'm sure they call it something else.
Yeah. But,
So anybody here gonna get a price increase and just take it, not raise it to your customers, just like swallow the pain?
No.
Nah, me too.
And like, what do you guys do to calculate how much of an increase you do on your end?
Oh, sorry, Brian, I just muted you by accident. Do that again. was trying to spotlight you and I needed you.
I don't always love the spotlight.
No, you're
It's all
good.
right.
Okay.
Leave me in
I'll
the
let you
wings. Um, like if you get a 10% from your supplier, are you just tacking 10% onto what you were charging, or are you kind of working it into a formula? Right? Because it doesn't equal 10% going out necessarily, right? Or it doesn't matter. That's what you're going up.
Yeah, I think I hear what you're saying. So like, I mean, it's the glass part that's 10%, not everything.
Yeah.
So really you don't have to raise your prices 10%. You may only need to raise your prices like 5% or something to cover the 10% increase in glass. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah. But I didn't know if you guys had a formula or just kind of a flat number that you go in at, you increase that, or if it's, do you vary between products maybe?
Good question.
We basically double our cost.
Mhm.
And then we add a little extra for the labor and a little extra for our overhead. And so if there's a 10% increase on glass, maybe even the fabrication or whatever, whatever it is, we're passing that cost on along. We're gonna mark it up the same as we would have marked it up before. We're not gonna eat the profit dollars, or rather, we're gonna try to also improve our profit dollars, I guess, by that additional amount, because we're not going to just cover the increase in cost without any additional markup. I think you start to eat into your profit margins over the long haul, and then it just makes you less profitable if you don't keep up with it. So keeping up with it all along, I think, is, our policy.
So you're just taking whatever the new raw cost of material, you're just doubling it, whatever it ends up being.
Right.
Plus tax.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's got to be some administrative costs. So everybody should have like a formula that you're using, right? If it's a spreadsheet or some kind of hopefully an automated thing where you just plug your numbers in and it tells you this is what you should charge. So then if your materials costs change, you just change that factor, in your spreadsheet or whatever, right? And then it just gives you the new number. And it might be a time, if it's been 2 years since there's been an increase, maybe it's time for you to have an increase, because it's like you need to raise your prices from time to time too. Yeah, like Brad's saying, it's important that you're profitable. I mean, you're not really doing your customers a favor by not being profitable. If they like you, they want you doing their work. It's because you're bringing something to the table, and that's worth paying for. So I mean, this might be the time to add, 1%, to your bottom line. Since there's an increase coming in anyway. If raising your prices overall like 5% would cover that 10% increase, just for round numbers, then maybe you should, raise it 6% instead of 5. You know what I mean? And take this opportunity to pad your bottom line. You deserve it. You're worth it.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, heck, all our costs have gone up personally. Our property taxes have gone up, your food's gone up, your education's gone up if you got kids. I mean, everything's gone up. So you need to benefit from, well, not benefit, but you need to mark it up.
Yeah, totally true.
Yeah, and the competition plays a huge factor in that. and then your own leverage. So like those are all part of that equation that we use.
Yeah.
Getting our final numbers for a price.
Yeah, for sure.
But are you getting, as far as like shower doors, priced, are you calculating your own pricing? Or are you getting a quote? And I think, yeah, it was to Brian. Yeah.
I calculate all my own pricing for shower doors. So I price everything. I use FHC, their shower door design program. So I have all my costs entered in there, all glass material as well as hardware products. And then I put my markups on there. All my fabrications in there too, whether it's a hinge notch or a hole, oversized hole, if it's a corner notch, a raked edge out of squares, everything's in there. So once I punch all the numbers in, it kind of calculates for me. And I recently just made an adjustment, probably maybe 4 or 5 months ago, give or take, because I felt like I was losing too many jobs. So I went in and adjusted everything a little bit, kind of tweaked it a little bit, so I would start landing more stuff. And now, I mean,
feedback on that? Are you asking feedback on where was I at on those jobs, following up with them to see if you're like way off?
I always, if I lose a job, I always follow up to try and find out why. Sometimes it's price, sometimes it's lead time, and there's other times where it's just, a friend recommended somebody else, so we just decided to go with them and take a shot.
Yeah.
And there's a couple shops in our area that I would say are our top competitors. Those we usually have a tendency to beat them out, and it's not necessarily always due to the number. I think it's the quality of service that we provide, the experience, just the quoting process and the transparency that we offer. I mean, we don't, we're not ducking around corners or, trying to hide stuff from people. I mean, we're pretty upfront. Some people appreciate that and gives them that warm, fuzzy feeling, and there's a sense of confidence. And let's go with this guy. He seems to know what he's talking about. We trust him. That's always a good thing to hear. Hey, listen, we got other quotes. You were not the cheapest, but we've decided that we're more comfortable with you anyway, so we'd like you to do the job. That's always pleasant to hear. But a lot of the jobs that we lose due to pricing seems to be, nitwit glass style, right? Chucking a truck, just a dude in the van and just slapping up glass for a day's pay, and later. And that's it. And I mean, it's not uncommon for us to get a return call from that customer, seeing if we can come back and service the shower door that somebody else put in. Actually, this past month, I would say we got, the last count, it was 8 of those calls. And then another one yesterday, so 9.
And are some of those customers installing their own from big box stores or online?
No, they
Really?
Anyone that's buying from a big box store, we always kind of try and push the return policy for that box store and send that back, and buy from us, we'll install it, we'll guarantee it. Or they'll find a contractor, or they'll hop on Angie's List or something and find someone to put it in for $300 or whatever. I mean, it is what it is. It's the reality of the situation. It sucks sometimes, but some of them learn a lesson the hard way. I'll say that. It's unfortunate for them because, again, we're upfront, we're open, we're honest, we're trying to explain the situation so someone doesn't get, screwed in the end. And some people appreciate that and kind of pay attention to it, and some don't. They just don't want to hear it. And then hindsight's 2020, and they're like, oh man, maybe we should have listened to that guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tell your friends.
I
Right.
I just recently had a conversation with one of my contractors, builders, and we were talking about pricing and stuff like that because he got our price increase letter, and he took it and he's like, that's fine, and he was telling me about his drywall company. They send him one every January, no matter what, for a price increase, never a decrease. But that's what he said. He said, I don't shop you guys. You're my guy. He said, but if I ever find out you guys are way more expensive than you should be, we're gonna have a talk. And that's what I started off with. Yes, please. If you ever get a price from somebody that is, and I'm out of line, call me. We need to have a talk. So I always, make sure all my contractors understand that, like, hey man, I want a shot. If somebody's trying to underbid me just to get their foot in the door, like, please give me a shot, like, and let me know, and we'll figure out what's really going on and make sure somebody's not just trying to get their foot in the door, or what, like, make sure they're pricing the right stuff. So that's kind of a conversation when I'm measuring, because we do more custom stuff. So I'm actually walking the jobs with builders and homeowners and stuff like that. So I get a good chance to talk personally with them. And every now and then I'll bring it up saying, hey, if somebody, like, especially in a time like this when people are actually, like, I'm out selling again, like, I finally can sell again because I have time. I know people are out there looking for more work. So make sure you're having the conversations of, hey man, if somebody's coming in trying to underbid you just to get their foot in the door, I want my chance, like, I want to figure out what's going on. Call me first and let's figure this out, so I'm not going to be underbid by some guy who's just trying to get more work and giving this stuff away one off, so that's, not to that extent, but I did say, hey, always give me a shot and let me know what's going on to this particular guy. So, but I have that conversation with all my builders, and contractors. So you want to make sure they're open to coming to you and know that you want to hear that. So, and just a good relationship with them to have. So,
Yeah, you want to compare apples to apples.
exactly. You want to make sure they're doing the right stuff. What are they cut? What corners are they cutting just to get the price they're getting? Like, we have a certain way, a certain standard of doing ours versus certain people will do it a different way. Like our shower doors, we always miter the corners. We don't butt them. But that's just kind of a standard thing for us. But that adds to the overall cost. So, like, what are we doing here? Like, we're using mechanical fasteners. We're using clips all the way, in most places. Not just the sleeve over. So, like, that adds to the cost. Like, if you want me to break it down for you, I can, and see where the difference is. But always give me a shot. Especially if it's a contractor that's just calling you and saying, hey, go measure it, get it done. That's the one you want to make sure you got an open door with.
Yeah, we'll see that it's out of their hands too. It's like, oh, ownership said we got to go with the cheapest one. It's like, okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, like if you get a homeowner involved, sometimes we get a homeowner involved and they're very involved in their shopping and stuff like that. And then they find a price. And then sometimes you have no choice, but like, hey, we'll let them do it this time. We're not going to drop our price to match that. It's a one-off. The builder understands it. And they say, sorry, this homeowner got a hold of this and they're shopping and yada, yada, yada. We'll see you on the next one. So that's kind of understandable too, and they kind of understand that as a builder, like, hey, this homeowner's quite involved, so, and yeah, that can happen.
It costs more. Costs more when they're too involved.
Yeah.
Dude, the homeowners,
Yeah,
it's insane the price that homeowners can get versus contractors, because some homeowners, they will shop a shower door price and stuff like no tomorrow, and sometimes they end up with a better freaking price than the contractors, and you're like, what the hell just happened? So, and I mean, to an extent, you're like, why are you getting this price? I'm supposed to charge you more. But yeah, anyways, it doesn't ever usually go below the contractor pricing, but sometimes I'm trying to figure out how the hell did we just give them contractor's price for this, but it's fine.
It all comes out in the wash, man. End of the day, if you keep working and do most of it right, it should be okay.
We had a homeowner who said, I'm shopping 4 different companies, and just want to make sure I get the best price. And I just ended up marking it up even more.
Mhm.
Let him go somewhere else.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah, thanks for the warning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
done that.
I
I've done
mean,
the
and
job.
we're busy enough. I mean, we're plenty busy,
Yeah.
and I'd rather make a couple $100 more than I would have if I was reducing my prices all the time. Because if
Yeah.
you do, 4, 5, 6 jobs a day, if you were doing them for $200 less per job on average, my gosh, just think what that is in a year. A lot of money.
hmm
What
So,
about when they say, I'm an engineer?
Lovely.
well, I just did one. Oh, man. It's awesome. The guy was, he did a lot of national, defense contracts and such. He was, I mean, obviously he's done extremely well, but he was so particular about every detail. It was actually fun for me. We discussed every freaking detail, and everything went in like clockwork. I mean, it was perfect. The mirrors and the shower door.
Nice.
And it was a crazy shower door that had T-clamps. I don't know if anybody's used those or not.
Oh, yeah. Those are cool.
Yeah, so it had 2 wings off the side that we used T-clamps on. And I don't have any pictures in the computer to share. I could probably find it on my phone, but
Post them in the
it's just a
Facebook
crazy
group,
thing.
man.
In fact, it was one, remember we were talking about these long panels, and if you had 2 big sheets of glass you're putting together, and if they're not quite lined up because of the bowing, what I did is I put 2 180 clamps, one up high, one down low, and then a towel bar in the middle, solid towel bar, to help, plan for that situation. But it worked out quite well.
Nice.
So, yeah, if I can find it
Good.
in here. Yeah, I found it. It's hard to see. It's all low iron glass. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Back up a little bit.
Pull it back.
That's all blurred out.
Back out.
A little more.
Keep going, keep
Oh,
going.
You're kidding.
you got your background blurred, so it's blurring
Oh.
out your phone.
Oh well.
Yeah, post it to the Facebook group. Oh,
There
there
you
it
go.
is.
Oh,
There it
Oh,
is.
It's
Margins.
trying. There it is.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
really
Oh, yeah.
hard to see it though, but
That's
it's one of those-
big. That's a big shower, man.
It is real wide, and it had 2 panels. Then it went back 90 degrees, but free floating. It's not tying to the wall anywhere at all. So, it had some wings to help stabilize it and everything.
Cool.
Crazy jobs, but it was nice that the guy actually was an engineer. We went through every detail. In fact, he had 2 receptacle covers. They were 5-gain rocker switches. I wonder if anybody is charging to install cover plates on something like that. I charged $170 to install 2 cover plates.
Wow. Yeah.
And he was surprised I was that cheap.
Is that
Nope.
including the cover plate?
No, that was the labor.
Okay.
Note to self, charge more next
I
time.
made a line item, and the reason why is because you know how, well, one, he's particular. And I was worried that, those things would be crooked or whatever, because you have to put the spacer behind it.
Oh.
So Sarah Lawrence has, I guess it's Sarah Lawrence. They got the little spring.
Yeah.
space. Tim, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah, I've been using them for years.
Okay. Those things are awesome.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I had a guy that worked for me we were union at the time and we got out of the union, so he went to another big shop. And we got over there, he goes, where's your springs at for the cover plates? They go, what are you talking about? You know, they didn't have a clue what they were. And you just put them there, cut it, you cut them off and they work great,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, and I ended up having to cut them a little shorter
Yeah,
than what came in the deal, but wow. But I spent probably an hour and a half, my time, I normally don't do that, but I spent about an hour and a half putting those 2 cover plates on. So, I got compensated.
so we do all that we do that all the time with mirrors.
Mhm.
We put a mirror up and put a cover plate on it. We use those clips, those springs, and they work great.
Yeah.
Can't beat
So
it.
if nobody's using those, or if you don't know what they are, Tim, do you know what that code is?
I just posted the link in the chat.
No,
It's called
Tim's,
PGP48.
And they have like a bucket of it.
mhm.
It's the springs and the screws.
yeah, springs.
So
They have-
Yeah, you can
Bucket.
buy in bulk.
Yeah, some other guy, somebody designed that. C.L. Lawrence bought it.
I see. Yeah, I would love to buy that in bulk if anybody knows where.
You can buy a tub of it, from C.L. Lawrence.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You get the springs, the screws, and
Good to know.
Hmm.
Good to know.
there's
Nice.
better those little plastic things what you get with the cover plates.
Good little tip right there, huh?
Yeah.
That right there is worth the price of admission.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a good tidbit. We had a problem that I never thought we would have. Because I've always been very diligent in making sure my guys have stainless steel screws.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been on bottom clamps. I've been telling all my guys use very short screws. I don't want to penetrate liners, and it's just shear anyway, and you're going to be siliconing it all in. And well, I don't know what happened. I guess somebody got a hold of some that weren't, and in about a week and a half, we got a call back saying there's discoloration on the bottom of the clamp.
Yeah.
And it was a brushed brass or a brushed bronze finish, and it had discolored the clamp. It was just crazy. But my installer pulled out, the screws, silicone, the clamp, and all that, and I looked at that screw and it was rusted. And so anyway, I made sure that everybody had the proper screw, but it's one of those things. I mean, I guess you have to bring it up every now and then to make sure everybody is doing what they're supposed to do.
Some guys don't know what a stainless steel is and what a steel screw is.
But I educate
Believe it or not, believe it or not.
throughout the years. I educate them on this
And you'll
thing.
take out some doors and they got sheetrock screws in.
Yeah.
This.
is there a test on those?
Yes,
It's
a
not
magnet. A magnet.
So those ones are magnetic?
Yeah,
Okay.
No.
Stainless steel should not be attracted by a magnet.
Right.
Nope.
Well, it depends
Right.
on the grade, right? Of stainless
Well, a
steel.
marine grade 316 is your best.
Mhm. Right.
So,
So yeah, if they're a lower grade, they will still be magnetic because there's enough ferrous material in there to make a magnetic. But you can tell the difference even if it's a lower grade stainless steel. It doesn't stick like regular metal does.
Okay.
Yep. It's a good test.
So quick question about the screws, if y'all don't mind.
Not at all.
So
Justin.
yeah, I've actually watched a few weeks and decided to zoom in this time.
I'm glad you joined us, man. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys. Listen, one thing about screws, like I'm a buyer. So like when you're talking about buying bulk from C.R. Lawrence or anything like that, and I'm looking at spring, I'm like, oh, bulk's like $20, bulk, whatever. But screws, we spend thousands of dollars in.
Uh-oh, muted himself.
Oh, hey, Justin, you muted yourself, I think.
Yeah,
So we buy bulk screws. I mean, we $1,000 sometimes in screws. Do you have a specific wholesaler y'all find that works best buying screws from versus just trying to grab them from like a local fastener or something?
Good question. Where you guys getting your screws?
Amazon right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I've been buying from AFT Fastener for a while. But I feel like there's a better market out there, a better price than, you know, I mean, I'm on the East Coast. So,
China.
well, yeah. Well,
Container of screws.
we actually require us not to buy China stuff. So
Try not to, huh?
you never know where it comes from.
Yeah. Are there people making screws in the United States?
probably.
I mean, you know,
Good question.
don't get lucky, but I mean, some things are required to prove that you bought Americans.
Right. Right.
But I think there was a better option, like with hardware. I know CRL or Barnes or FCH. You know, different people have different opinions about which one corners the market the most, which one has a better quality standard, and so on and so forth. But like when it comes to screws, you know, it's such an item that people don't think, they overlook at it, and a lot of techs just throw them down. They don't keep up with them. They do get expensive.
Mm.
Especially some of the set screws, like CRL's got like a 10-pack. It's like $12 for 10 screws, like $1 screw is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if like maybe y'all ran across the company, maybe somewhere across country, even if you imported them, if you found a better pricing on buying these screws. Or anything other than screws. I mean, just in general.
I have no idea.
I asked the Nation Glazer group earlier today about aluminum products. Like we buy from Cornier, we buy from Old Castle, we buy from YKK, we buy from all of them actually. But I just didn't know if there was different parts of the country having. I know y'all were talking about the price increase in glass earlier, and I've seen letters from 5 to 12. I've seen some from 12 to 20%.
Wow.
I did ask a question earlier. Do you see a justification in the glass increase, like for a reason for the justification of glass increase? There's no shortage of glass. There's no higher demand for glass. So where's the increase coming from, other than the three major manufacturers saying we're just going to raise the price?
Maybe inflation.
Okay, I could buy that a little bit, but
you know, because it's like the thing about glass is you can't hide it. Like they, you know, if they sell you a bag of potato chips, they just put like less potato chips in there. And then like not raise the price or whatever. And there's a lot of that, like shrinkflation, they call it, where they'll just like, you know, make your thing smaller, lighter, lower quality or whatever, and hide it there. But I mean, the inflation that we have is like a real thing. I mean, everybody's doing what they can to hide it, but man, it's pretty bad.
well, I listen. I agree. I heard someone make comment about food, education costs, everything earlier.
Yeah.
They're all true statements. I mean, the cost of living is extremely a lot higher over the last few years than they have past. But I mean, when it comes to raw material, like what you're saying is true. You can't hide it. So how do you justify increase when there is no reason for it? I mean, raw material did not increase. I mean, that's where I'm curious about. So I mean, we went to, you know, a conference, and some of the bigger buyers of glass around the country were like, The only way for this to change is if independent companies push back on the glass wholesalers to keep the price down. Or somebody gets a bidding war and there's a race to the bottom.
Right.
Mhm.
So if it went down by 8%, would you ask for justification?
If it was down by 8%,
Yeah, but when it,
about 4.
Yeah, because that's what like for me, it's always like the basics, operational costs went up.
Okay.
Too many factors that I had no clue.
So if you got an 8% increase in cost, do you increase your margins only 8% or do you increase them 16%?
Good
Because,
judge.
because if you're
Does
spending
he-
$1,000 a month on glass and you got an 8% increase, you're now spending $1,080 a month. So to make the same profit you were making before, so how do you adjust your margins?
I like what Keith Dobman and I think Greg Stahl and even Brandon DeCastro, different organizations talk about. When Greg did a year ago his presentation on Know Your Numbers, the formula called for just knowing, I forgot what profit number it was, but if you just know that one and it's in your formula, then the rest of the things that adjust, you just play around with it. But as long as you get your 10, for example, 10% profit, it doesn't matter what anything else, adjust where needed, put it in labor, put it in that bucket or something else. But I really liked how easy their formula was for people to adopt and put into place without having to do all this math or bring in another person for it. Figure out what that percentage is that you need, and then everything else is just filled in based on what gets increased or decreased for you.
yeah,
Makes-
exactly. There should be a formula that you have.
Thanks for coming back.
That takes everything into account. You know, the labor, the materials, your overhead, administrative costs, whatever profit margin you have, and those numbers may change. And usually, it's like materials is really the only thing that really changes. There might be or labor. You know, there might be a cost of living increase on labor, and that might go up. But you just plug those numbers in, and your formula tells you what your price is going to be, and it really doesn't matter. The math doesn't care, you know, what stuff costs. It just like spits out the number that's right. Because you have to make whatever you've decided you have to make in order to be profitable. You have to make that. You're right. I mean, that really can't change, or else you won't be profitable anymore. You know, so
Yeah.
what Robert's saying is like that's the gold standard.
Yeah, you've got your break even number, and then anything above that is it's gold, you know. So it's just a matter of how quick do you get to your break even number based off of your markup and stuff like that. So how quick do you want to get there? Do you want to charge somebody $1 million so you can get to your break even number on one job, or but like you got a break even number. So how quick do you get there? Do you raise your profit margins by 5% so you can get there a little quicker? Are you like that's the whole goal, is to get past that break even number, and how far past can you go, and the lower your margins, the longer it takes to get there, the higher that number is going to be. The higher your profit, the higher your markup is, the less you got to sell to get to that number. So it's just get to that number and then get on past it.
Right. Yeah. And a funny thing too, kind of a misnomer about profitability is like, when I was starting out and it was just me and my truck, out there trying to make a living, just make a go of it. People would say, oh, your price should be lower because you got low overhead. And that's really not true because overhead is calculated as a percentage. It's not calculated in dollars and cents, right? It's calculated as a percentage of your gross income. And really, when you're small, your overhead is high as a percentage of your gross income. Think about it. I mean, you're a little guy, you got truck payment, you got to pay the gas. No matter how small you are, if you've got a brick and mortar place, you need to pay the rent on that. You need to pay the power on that. It's when you get big, your overhead actually goes down. because it becomes a smaller percentage of your gross, you know? So, yeah, it's super important to know what all those are. And like Daniel's talking about breaking even. I mean, you have to sell a certain amount just to like pay your rent and your truck payment, or you know, the gas, the electric, you know, and just the minimum amount of labor and materials and supplies and all that stuff. I mean, when you start, your rent doesn't go up as you become more profitable. You know, your truck payment doesn't go up as you become more profitable. It stays the same, you know, so it becomes a smaller percentage, right, of the overall um, gross sales, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I mean, really, yeah. I mean, it's like you're overhead
economies of scale.
now, man.
Yeah, economies of scale, Chris.
Yes, economy of scale. Exactly.
I don't
However,
know if anybody, go ahead, whoever that was.
oh, don't worry about it. All I was gonna say is, it's like every time when you start growing, all of a sudden it's like there's more expenses that just come up.
Mhm.
You know, it's like all of a sudden now, a small city somewhere says, well, you need to start paying us tax, or, you know, you need to get this license, or you need to do
Mhm.
this, you need to do that. And all of a sudden you went from this one truck with no real expenses to all this other stuff, including, you know, paying social security on your employees and all the other stuff it takes to run a business, but it's just part of it.
Well, I think there's all the stuff that like you put off, right? So when you're starting out, you just don't have the money to pay for any, you know, to do any marketing or to have. There's a lot of stuff you learn to do without. You use, um, you know, you use your resources as best you can because they're so limited. And then as you start to make some money, then you start to think, oh man,
Yeah.
all those things that you really should have had at the beginning that you just lived without, you start to buy or rent or pay for or whatever. And sometimes more than you really need to, because it's like, you know, I see Keith is nodding his head like crazy.
It's so true. So true.
Yeah.
Um,
So true.
so Bill, last week, I wanted to address his comment, or he wanted feedback on his video that you guys shared after the phone call last
Oh
week.
yeah, right.
I wanted to put my 2 cents in on that before we all got off of here. Something that I noticed about it when I watched it, he wanted some feedback. So I had to watch it 4 times. I don't know what the intentions were behind having the three layers of the video, but so I watched it once and I heard it and I was looking back and forth between all 3 segments. So I was like, all right, I got to watch this again. So I watched the top segment where he was just speaking to see what he's saying and watch him speak. And then I heard more context. And then the next go around, I'm like, all right, now I got to watch this one in the middle. So, and as I'm hearing him speak, I'm seeing things in the video that he's saying correlate with timing of product or just things you're seeing in the video as he says it. Like he says hardware, and in that particular moment, hardware pops up or something, you know, like or you see a picture, like portion of the video where there's hardware involved. And then you watch it a third time for the bottom video, and then he speaks about quality manufacturing, and you see something particular to the manufacturing aspect, something along those lines. But so when I watched it, each segment, first it was him speaking, and then the next 2 videos, you're connecting what he's saying to aspects of the video. So I don't know what the intentions were. Was it to get you to watch it 4 times, or was it to get you to watch each one individually? But that was what I took from it when I watched it. If he wants to know about that, because he wanted feedback on it. So, did anybody watch that video after they posted it?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, I
it was
did
good.
too.
The algorithm
What
loves
did-
that style, and you gave them exactly what they wanted. Excellent production team, excellent formatting of the video, and then it requires the user to now give the platform what they love to most, which is a user that rewatched the video multiple times. They were engaged and they probably liked and commented after. So you just gave the platform and the person who put it on there like exactly what they all want to see amongst each other. Engaged community on topics that matter and actual entertainment and information and education. Like they combined all that. It was excellent.
Mhm.
I did
Yeah.
last
ahead.
week we talked about Bing, and what I was told is that ours shows Facebook because we didn't link our Yelp to the business Bing business page. That was it.
So now what I'm hearing is that it rotates. So it'll rotate through um, different, either Yelp or Facebook or Google, depending on, I don't know, just at random or on a rotational basis or something, if you have all of those.
Okay. Yeah.
Is
The only
that-
one we linked is the Facebook. So that's kind of the only option, unless they're pre-made. It recognizes it somehow. Yeah, that's what we did.
I think in order, so like Yelp, if somebody can review you without you having a Yelp page, and Yelp will just make a page. And then and back actually when I found mine, that's what happened. Someone reviewed me, and then I had to go on there and actually claim it.
Mm.
And I think there are other platforms that work similar to that, where someone can just go on there and make a review, and then it's like, hey, do you own this page? You have to claim it. So that's kind of interesting. But if you haven't claimed it yet, then it probably wouldn't show up, being associated with you. So you may want to look out there and see if you've got some review pages out there just kind of floating in cyberspace somewhere.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
That.
I don't know.
Awkward.
Yeah.
I clicked the video on the link.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Funny. All right. Nice. What else?
Well, did we go over Christina's event updates or the updates in general?
No, you want to do that? That'd be
I don't
awesome.
want to, but I will because it needs to be done.
Needs to be done. There you
Christina
go.
took the time to put this together. So a quick event update for the Top Golf that we're going to do at Glass Build for the Shower Door Co-op. 310 Tempering is hosting September 30th, 6:30 to 8:30. They're launching a new product and they won't be showing it at Glass Build or anywhere else, only at the Shower Door Co-op get together. So if you want to be the first one to see it, there you go. Go to showerdoorprofessionals.com and click on professionals to sign up for the event. Let us know how many people you're coming are with you and what you have in mind and what you want to contribute to. Website update, there's new and improved. Christina did a lot of work on it. Contact us form is there if you want to get a hold of that. For membership, pre-approvals were sent out this morning. If you didn't get one, that doesn't mean you weren't approved. They're working through them, and there's a handful of approved members so far, but I won't go through that. That's about it.
Oh, nice. Good job, man. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Ah, perfect.
Cool. Yeah. Good times. Good times.
Welcome back, Rob.
Yes, sorry, I was a vacant last call. Yes, good to be back.
Cool. Well, we got a couple of minutes. If anybody's got that last one little thing they want to say or ask or whatever. Otherwise, we can just wrap it up a couple of minutes early. It won't hurt my feelings any.
Does anybody have any big wins from this week so far or from last week that they want to celebrate? Everybody needs to hear some good shining moments. So does anybody have some good wins from recent?
I have a pretty good one. It's not
Let's
like
hear
over
it.
it's not over the moon or anything, but yeah, I went and looked at a house in Pebble Beach. A nice place. It's like right on the golf course, and it's new
Are you gonna
construction.
buy it?
Yes. Man, you stole my thunder, dude. No, not even close, man. I couldn't afford parking. But yeah, nice place. So we had got this call. It's like this guy has like 5 showers in his house. So I went over and measured it. Really nice people. There's 4 showers downstairs, like three bathrooms, one in the guest house, and then upstairs is a steam shower. And it's arched and all that. So yeah, so we sold that this week. So it's pretty nice job.
Is that a new house?
Busy. Yeah, brand new house.
It's right there on the 18th,
Yeah, something like that.
right next to Pebble Beach.
Yeah, it's right. Yeah, it's like right on the golf course. Yeah.
Is that the same one Tim bid that he lost?
No, I don't know. Is it?
The guy owns the house next door.
Oh yeah, there is a place going up right next door.
Because the one house, a friend of mine owned it, right next to the lodge. And the parents died, and they sold that thing for $22 million. And the guy
Yeah.
scraped it, and I guess building a new one. And that guy owns the house next door.
Wow.
Is it?
Is that pretty average home prices?
It was tough. The 3 kids had to divide up $22 million.
Yeah. It sucks when that happens.
Yeah.
I'd be so mad. I'd be like, shh, just call me later. I'm mad. You guys. Hey, thanks again for showing up. It's always fun hanging out with you guys. Have a great week.